I've really learned to love seeds. I heard this beautiful saying from the indigenous people from North America, and their idea of seeds is that you should never speak bad language in front of seeds, that you should respect seeds and love seeds. And I really took that on board, and I sort of seen that they're alive. Seeds are alive. They're about to bring all this new life. It's little bits of magic. I sit in my glass house and plant things with music playing. I like to share that with the seeds. I think that's hopefully they're enjoying it too. Welcome to Greenlaw. We're sitting on Gundungurra country here. My name is Kirsty Mackay, and my family and I moved here just under 10 years ago. So before we moved to the Highlands, we lived in Manly, right near the ocean, which was wonderful. We had 2 little boys at that point. But we really wanted to move away from that lifestyle and more into a space where we were more connected with our food, more connected with nature, and have an ability to show our children how we can live lightly on the planet and hopefully inspire other people to do the same thing. So Greenlaw is situated just outside of Bowral in Burradoo, short walk to town. It's only on 1.3 acres. We felt it was a perfect marriage between having enough land to grow food and be as self-sufficient as possible, and still being close enough to be connected to town where we can ride bikes to school and walk to town. So that's what our mantra is as a family, how we can live lightly, and whether that be how we manage our power usage or our transport, where we buy our clothes. We grow a lot of our own food and we grow a lot of our own produce. It might be things that we can make drinks out of, or honey or eggs, or anything that I think it's almost like a challenge. I'd love to see if I can grow something, and anything I look at that, I've bought that. I wonder if I can see how us as a family can produce that. It's amazing what you can actually do in a really small space. I grow a lot of berries because I eat berries almost every day. So we've got blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, boysenberries, all sorts of berries. We have an apple orchard, pear orchard, plums, apricots. We've even got an avocado tree. It's very young, but we're hopeful. And then of course there's the veggies. So your tomatoes and zucchinis and capsicums and cucumbers and herbs. So most of the herbs, I think if you could name a herb, I think I grow it. I sometimes go to the supermarket and buying grains and things like that, and dairy that we can't produce off our property. I think, oh my goodness, people must think we're so unhealthy. There's not a green thing in my trolley except maybe mangoes and bananas, which our climate just doesn't sustain. But if only they knew. Thankfully, I haven't had to buy garlic or herbs or so many things for many, many years, which is great. And I also really like doing things, for example, looking around at established trees that we have in our garden that were here long before we came, and working about, okay, these are ornamental trees, but learning a bit about them, and some of them have really interesting medicinal or nutrient value in them. For example, we have many magnolia trees here, and magnolia flowers are edible flowers. They actually have a bit of a ginger taste to them. We had a lot of flowers this year, so I pickled a whole lot. I also grow a lot of roses and really enjoy drying those for teas or putting them in face scrubs. We love it because we can walk into our garden, and not only is it exciting to have your own basket and collecting different things for your dinner that night, but to know that there's not that impact where it's been grown and then transported and then sold, and all of that has embodied energy. So it's nice to know that our food is full of nutrients, but it's also not causing any emissions. A couple of years ago, I started planting more and more native edibles in our garden. We have many wattles on our property. Seasonally, they all drop seeds, and I collect them and I turn them into cakes and all sorts of things. I also love growing things like lemon myrtle, and I just love the taste of lemon myrtle. It's just delicious. And I have, First Nations friends, and they have just such an incredible knowledge and a love for country. And I just wanted to know more about the Indigenous plants of our country, and if I can be a part of growing and sharing the knowledge about Indigenous plants to Australia, I want to be a part of that. So I've got about 70 different varieties of native plants, mainly herbs at this point in time. It's in its infancy, but I'd love to learn more, and yeah, there's so much we can learn about Indigenous plants, and we should be fostering a love for that. So we also have a thing about being cyclical, if you like, or having the cycle of life and ensuring there's no waste. For us, it's really about looking at wasted food or things like that. It's not a waste, it's a resource. Spending time in the garden for me is a pleasure. It's what I do when I want to switch off and have some me time, and also I think it's been scientifically proven that having your hands in the soil and connecting to that is actually really, really beneficial for your health. I sadly don't get as much time as I'd like in the garden, but I dedicate probably 1 day a week. Sometimes when we've got planting season or peak harvesting season, that might be longer, but then you've also got to factor in time for processing all the produce. There is a lot of time at the back end, but it's stuff, that homesteading thing is what I love. I love the fact that we've got a larder full of food that can sustain us. So it's actually quite rewarding time spent. I believe that if you set up a space that you love to be in, make your space beautiful, and then you want to be in it. And the more you're in a space, the better your plants will grow, because you're paying attention to them, you're understanding their needs and saying, oh, that one needs a little bit of compost, or that might need a bit of water, or whatever it is. The more you're there to look after them, the better they'll grow and the more they'll produce for you. I'm a strong believer in companion planting, in looking after our soil health. Landscape regeneration is the way we need to be looking after our planet and producing food, whether it is on a huge scale or on a really small urban scale. That all comes down to soil health, putting all the greens that come out back in. And it's also working with companion plants and planting a real biodiversity. So if you walk around my garden, it's a riot of colour and plants hiding in different places, and I'll hide lettuce in one spot of the garden, hide it in another, so that if that lettuce gets attacked, this little patch won't. But it's also choosing plants that work really well together. I'm often looking at plants and putting them together and trying to work out what it is that will help them grow, and it might be a chemical reason, and other things that might be more it's a taking away pests. For example, I'll often leave a brassica, like broccoli or a cauliflower, to go to seed right next to my garlic crop. Not only will I get seeds off the brassica, but it seems to attract all of the aphids, and they don't go to my garlic. So I have lovely, clean garlic. One of the really important things for us in moving to the Highlands was having the ability for our children to be more connected with nature. And I think that's so important for our children, because the more we love something, the more we want to protect it. And along the way, they've learnt where their food comes from, and they've built their own cubbies and tree houses and things like that. But I think for anyone, whether you're in the city or not, you can do that. But we just wanted to make sure it was a daily occurrence, that we're part of Mother Nature, we're part of the earth, and our role to protect it is so important. Part of living lightly on the planet for our family was inspiring others to also live lightly. And we've done that through creating a small business called Life at Greenlaw, as well as Barrel Bees. So you can find Life at Greenlaw on Facebook or Instagram at Life at Greenlaw. And we'd love to share our journey, inspire others to also live lightly.